Hello my crafty friends and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making a card using the Stronger Together stamp set from Simon Says Stamp and the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils. I'm so excited to have these. So we are going to first stamp our image onto our piece of cardstock. Today I am using Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock, one of my favorite cardstocks to use. I'm going to be putting it into my mini Misty stamping tool, just easier than pulling out my regular size. And then I'm going to pick the largest flower from the center of the stamp set, and I'm going to place that into the center of the cardstock. Well, as best as I can. I should have used the clear acetate positioner, but I wasn't thinking. I just eyeballed it, but I think it turned out okay. There's going to be a little bit of fidgeting and fussing though, because I can never decide. See, I can't decide. And once I've got it where I like it, I'm going to close the Misty door, make sure it goes to the other side, then reposition my Bristol Smooth, and then I'm going to ink up the stamp with my Gina K Amalgam ink. I love this ink. It's great. I especially love it for when it comes to coloring with Copics or really anything. So I'm going to put that down and I'm going to rub my fingertips over where that stamp is. And then I'm going to open it up, and it's got a good impression, but I want it to be a little bit darker and a little more crisp. So I'm going to ink up the stamp for a second time, and I'm going to close the lid again, rub my fingers over where the stamp is to get a good transfer. I'm sorry about the shaking. I really need to figure out how to fix that. And once I open that, now that is the type of impression that I wanted. Good, clear, crisp, and dark. See, there's the transparency. I should have used it. Oh well. I left that in because I wound up doing other cards later with the same stamp. And so next, I'm going to pull out my Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils from Faber-Castell, and they're in a faux leather case from Amazon. They come in a bunch of different colors. This one is for 120 pencils, but they make bigger ones and smaller ones, so I will try to remember to link the case down, or one of the cases anyway, down below in the description box. And see, I'm just showing you all the colors that there are. It's all the same colors that are in the Polychromo set. It's just that these are watercolor pencils. I do have them ordered a little differently in the Polychromo set though. Now I'm not going to show you all of the watercoloring because that would take forever and a day. But I am going to show you the start of it, and I'm going to go at real time at first so you can see that while doing this can take a bit of time, it doesn't take like forever. Now what I'm doing is actually I'm taking that light green shade and I'm coloring in all of the leaves. I'm not outlining them, I'm literally just coloring in them like I would with a colored pencil, because I feel that this, once I hit it with water, it gives me a good base to go back and layer on top of, instead of just outlining it. Unless you want really light highlights, I think this is the way to go when you're starting off with your watercolor pencils and you're coloring images. And this image is great to color because it's just so simple and so pretty. I've even done no line Copic coloring with that, and I've never done that before, and it turned out okay. So this is a great stamp set. Next I'm going to use my Arteza water brush pens, and I have two sizes. The one in my hand is kind of like a medium size. The one I just set down is more of a smaller size. Then I'm going to squeeze it to kind of get the water flowing, and then I'm just going to run it over each leaf to kind of activate that watercolor pencil properties and to smooth out all of the areas where I had drawn. So now I'm speeding it up just because it can take a while, but it's totally worth it in the end. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous finished product. And now I'm taking a darker color and doing that little green part that's just below the flowers. I'm going to take the really tiny water brush and fill that in. Then I check to see if the leaves are dry, and then I go over them just at the bottom with a darker green pencil to start kind of layering it and giving each leaf a little bit of dimension. Then I go through again with the water brush and just pull that color out and towards the tip. This is such a fun technique to do, and it's one that you can always keep trying and learning and doing new things with it. The sky is the limit, really. It's wonderful. And now we are going to put some darker green on those little parts of the flowers and darken that up with the smaller watercolor brush. And that'll be it for what I'm going to show you with the flowers. Next, I'm going to actually die cut the sentiment, which is the thank you die set from Simon Says Stamp and CZ Designs. I'm using my Sizzix Big Kick, which I got at Michael's, and I'm going to cut the shadow of the word from Simon Says Stamp white glitter cardstock, and then I'm going to die cut the words thank and you from some silver mirror cardstock I got from Tonic. And again, you know me, this is going to be a little bit of fiddling to get it lined up just how I want it, and to make sure that it's not, going to slip, slide, and cut wrong. And I'm lining these up so that I can actually have enough paper left over that I can actually put it back into my scraps bin and use it on another project. And now I'm going to send it through, and I usually do 2 passes, one going to the left, and then I run it back through going to the right so it's back at its starting position, which you don't have to do. It's just something I got into the habit of doing, and I find that it really makes sure everything is cut through nicely, especially when it comes to die cuts, and intricate die cuts, most definitely. I'm just going to lift those off of the machine and put the plates back and just make sure it's kind of stuck underneath. I'm going to move that Big Kick out of the way, and we can get back to assembling all of the parts for the card. And there you see we've got the outline right there. And a thing I love about this glitter cardstock is that it does not shed. It is amazing, and it's so sparkly. And so now I've got the words, and I'm actually going to use my Ranger Multimedia Matte Glue, of course, to attach the words thank and you to the glitter card base to the glitter shadow. And I find that liquid glue works best on top of any type of glitter cardstock. Otherwise, it seems to try to repel, any other type of adhesive like tape runners. I can never get a tape runner to work on my glitter cardstock when I'm putting something on top of it. So I always use liquid, and it works just fine. Now, this glue is really starting to run low, so I really have to squeeze it to get just the most minuscule amount out. So I'm going to be replacing this bottle very soon. And all I do is I just take the needle nose tip off of this one, and I put it onto the next bottle. It's as easy as that, because I love having the needle nose tip. It makes things so much better and so much easier. I mean, can you imagine trying to use a regular sized glue bottle and go around these delicate lines and not get glue everywhere? The precision tip really makes it so that you don't get glue everywhere, which I'm sure all of us can appreciate, because we've all been on the way too much glue on a project and now we have to start over kind of thing. Luckily, that was not this project. Now I'm going to adhere that to the shadow. I'm going to try to line it up as best I can so I don't have to fiddle with it too much. And there we go. Just kind of press it down. And next, I'm actually going to take 2 acrylic blocks, and I'm just going to lay them on top of, there's 2. I'm actually going to lay that on top of the word thank, so it will definitely adhere. And so while that's happening, I'm going to go and put glue on the word you. Again, having to squeeze really hard because this bottle is like on its last legs, and I just want to get the last little bits that I can possibly get out of it so that I don't feel like I've wasted any product, I hate it when I have that feeling. So I try to use things until like there's literally, I'm scraping the sides of the bottle. You know what I mean? Are you guys like that? Do you really like to use your products up as much as you can? Or when it gets low, do you like to just get a new one to avoid the fuss? So I'm going to do exactly like I did with the thank. And I'm going to line the U up. And this one didn't want to line up as easily. It just kind of kept slipping out of my hand. But I got it down. And then I'm actually going to go and put both of the words now underneath those acrylic blocks and set them over to the side to dry. Now I'm going to take my card base and I'm going to decide, from the inside, which side I'm going to use. Good, it's going to work that way. And next, I am going to take our card front. No, wait a minute. I'm lying. We're going to do the inside of our card next. And I'm going to be using the Simon Says Stamp Mandy's Flowers stamp set. And I'm going to take the thank you sentiment first, and I'm going to stamp it using a Catherine Pooler ink, which is Sangria, which if you're over 21, you know Sangria is so yummy. So I'm going to just put the thank you sentiment onto one of my acrylic blocks. I could have used my Misty for this, but I just decided that it would be better to, just use an acrylic block. And I was rubbing my hands over it because it's a new stamp. I wanted to kind of condition it so that I wouldn't have to stamp it a second time and not be able to do so. So I inked it up just very lightly with these stamp sets, and I'm going to do my best to center it towards the top, and then I'm going to push it down. And it came out beautifully. No fear of having to double stamp it or anything. I thought that was absolutely great. And I'm going to clean off my stamp with my Kirkland, which is Costco, baby wipes, because I like these because they're biodegradable and you get a lot in a pack, so I don't feel as bad using these. They're, not great for the environment, but they're not 100% worse. Now I'm going to take a secondary sentiment that says, for your love, and I'm going to put that onto my smaller acrylic block. I'm going to kind of try and line it up so it's straight, and then I drop it. And then I'm going to use my VersaFine Onyx Black, which you guys know I love for stamping, and I'm going to stamp that just below the sentiment and off to the right hand side, just a little bit. That way I'm not repeating myself by saying thank you on the outside and then thank you again on the inside without adding something to it. I really like how the inside came out. I didn't add any extra embellishments like any of the flowers or hearts or anything like that. I liked the flourish of the thank you sentiment, so I thought that was good enough for the inside of the card, So we're going to do that. We're going to move that in just a second. I'm going to put everything, kind of do a little dance with everything. And I'm going to take my 1/2-inch score tape, and I'm going to do what I've done with every card that I've ever made. I'm going to take the score tape, and I'm going to run the tape around the perimeter of the card front. I find that's really all the tape you need. You don't need anything down the center unless it's like a watercolor panel and it's warped. But this was obviously not heavily watercolored, so it wasn't warped in any way, shape, or form. So that was nice. So I'm going to send that around. While we're doing this, I'm just going to let you guys know I actually got a job. I'm very excited. I start next Saturday, but because of that, some of my posting may change and there may be a pause in getting videos up until I can kind of figure out how I'm going to, make this work around my work schedule. So I would still love for you to subscribe, and follow and all of that. But just letting you know, there might be a bit of lull in content for a couple of weeks, just until I figure it out. And look, it's all around the perimeter. It's magic. And then I'm going to take my craft blade, and I'm going to use that to peel the backing off of the score tape, because I have stubby little fingernails and I cannot get it to peel back for me. And this one you'll see actually peel the tape up, so I have to press it back down. And so I'm going around. I'm going to take the last piece off. And now we can adhere it to our card front, making sure that I have the right side. And what I always do is I line up the the lower left corner first. And then I kind of line up the bottom as I'm lining up the top. I kind of roll it down instead of just sticking it down, so I can make sure that it lines up properly. Now I'm going to take that Ranger multimedia mat again, and I'm going to put that onto the back of the shadow piece so that we can adhere our outside sentiment to the outside of the card. Isn't it magical how that works? I'm really thinking I should have used one of my other glues for this part, but it worked out. It worked, the glue came out. It just took a lot of squeezing to get it to come out. By the end, you don't see it, but I literally just ball it up at my hand in a fist. There you can kind of see it, just to get the glue to come out at the very end. Then I'm going to line that up on the bottom, and I'm going to kind of try to make it as centered as possible, but I think it wound up just being slightly off center, but that's okay. And I really like how that looks. I think it's very nice, very clean. And now I'm going to put my name stamp on the back of my card, and this is it. I got it from Bossy Jossie. I will definitely link her in the description box so you can go and check her stamps out for yourself. They're absolutely amazing. She's amazing. It's just a wonderful company. I love it. And of course, once again, I used my VersaFine Onyx Black because in my mind, you can never go wrong with that. Unless you're trying to use Copics, then that's a big no-no. I learned that. I'm going to set my glue to the side, flip it over, kind of think about it. I want gems. So we're going to use the Studio Katia Clear Iridescent Bubbles. I've been using these a lot recently in my cards because they are just so pretty and so versatile. They are clear, so if you put them on, say, blue cardstock or pink or whatever, it's going to pick up the colors beneath it, and kind of the iridescence is going to play off of that. And I just think that is so cool, and it makes just the prettiest accent on a card that you can use on any type of card. So I'm starting off with my usual 5 around the sentiment, and then I decide this needs a little bit more, so we're just going to start sprinkling them around and dropping them, sprinkling them around and dropping them again. Let's try this. And sprinkling them around the rest of the card so that it doesn't look too, I want to say bare. But it wasn't empty, it just felt a little bare to me, which is why I'm adding the extra bubbles. And so I'm going to add one more down there because that just looks so blank and it just doesn't work. No. And we're going to kind of fiddle with that, and there we go. So next, I'm going to take my Crystal Kubotan, which I actually got at, of all places, IMATS, which for those of you who don't know, IMATS is the International Makeup Artist Trade Show, which this will be the first year, because they're not having it, that I don't get to go. And you'll see that I'm having a lot of trouble getting it to pick up. It's not picking up at all, not even trouble picking up. It's not picking up at all. And of course, silly me, I keep trying. But the cool thing about this one is that you can actually, and you're supposed to, as the point gets dull, you sharpen it with a pencil sharpener. And it works the same way if it's not sticking to anything. You just sharpen it a little bit and it'll kind of give you a new layer of wax to work with. Because this is a twist up style pencil thing. And so there's a lot of wax in that barrel. So you can, sharpen it as you go so that A, you have a really nice fine tip for little things, and it can refresh it if, you are having trouble getting it to pick anything up. I haven't tried washing it, I just keep sharpening it, and I'm not getting anywhere near the bottom either. So that is nice, actually. It really lasts really well. Okay, that one's just being a pain, it doesn't want to stay. But sometimes the problem is that once you get it nice and sharpened, then it's so sticky, it doesn't want to let go of the gem, pearl, sequin, whatever you're using it on. Doesn't want to let it go and have it stay on the glue on the card, which you just saw there. And so sometimes, and I think I do it here, sometimes I will use the tip of my glue bottle, like I did just there, to hold the embellishment down while I pulled the Kubotan off of the gem, the bubble. And I just love how this glue works with especially embellishments, because it dries clear, and that's great. Most glues do dry clear, but what I love about this one is that it dries matte. So if, say, I get a little too much glue and it squirts out the sides, or the piece moves and drags some of the glue with it, it's going to be not very noticeable to see that there's glue where it shouldn't be. People, unless they're purposefully looking for flaws, nobody's going to notice, which is great, because you put a lot of time and effort into it, and you just want them to appreciate the overall effect and the beauty of your card. Have you guys been making anything lately? I'd love to know, so be sure to put it down in the comments below, because I love hearing from you guys. It's so much fun knowing what you guys have been making, what you guys have been up to, so let me know. And here we have our final card. There it is. Very shiny, very pink, and just nice. I really like this card. It's going in a card set for Christmas. So I'd love if you follow and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys.